Someone was joking with me about doing some intro music or waiting music. I probably should have taken them seriously.
Yeah, we should actually look into that.
I will look into that one. For everybody on the call, you have fun waiting music and intro music in the future. So. In the meantime, super interesting call today, the community call, Mark.
Yeah, it's such a relief to start discussing all of these things in a way where we can start preparing the DAO for voting and what the proposal is going to be. Honestly, like my plan was to get all of the proposals out last week so that people could actually read them before the call.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's always something. In this case, it's really just the it's just the legal vetting, which is I'm not worried about at all. But it's so important that it happens first. So who's our guest today, by the way?
Hamzah Khan of Polygon.
Have you reached out? Do you know what the situation is?
I did reach out, and he said 1 minute.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
What's on the agenda?
So scaling Ethereum and multi-chain DeFi, and I really want to talk about the security aspects and the stability of the different side chains and what the differences are and how they affect the users.
Yeah, good
When
call.
bridging over, I think there's a lot of unknown risks that we can kind of dig into a little bit, and benefits as well for DeFi users as it continues to grow and branch off into different chains. Oh, here he is.
Wonderful.
Okay, Hamzah, are you here with us now?
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah,
All right.
sorry
Well, thank
about.
you for joining us.
So sincere apologies for being a little late.
No, that's okay. You just kind of confirmed our stipulation here that we needed to have waiting music. So, in the meantime, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. I'm Jen, and I'm here with our guest Hamzah Khan of Polygon and Mark Richardson of Bancor. And like I was telling Mark before you joined, we're really just here to learn more about the various types of scaling solutions that are available right now and how they differ and the advantages and risks of each one, and safely taking advantage of the new options while participating in such a fast growing DeFi ecosystem. So, Hamzah, I'd love to start with you. First off, thank you again for joining us. And if you would just briefly tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and how you got started in crypto and your role over at Polygon.
Sure. Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. Hello, fellow Bancor community members. I'm Hamzah. I lead all the DeFi side of things at Polygon. I've been here in Polygon for a year and a half now. When it was Matic. So my background, I have a technical background. I by degree I'm a mechanical engineer, and I worked at companies like Citibank. My first job was at Citibank, building machine learning models. But over time I realized, okay, machine learning is kind of boring. And over time, got more interested into crypto, found the Ethereum white paper in 2017, and over time just got more interested in DeFi. Yes, DeFi, uh, and but later, after DeFi summer, after the gas prices went kept on going up, I realized, okay, for retail like me, Ethereum main chain just does not work, and we need to find better and cheaper avenues. And I think Matic was just getting started at that time. I remember when I joined, there were like two DeFi protocols on Polygon. One was QuickSwap, another was Comet Swap. They play to one game. So over time, in the last 1 year and a half, we have scaled the whole DeFi ecosystem, in the Polygon ecosystem, from two to now about 5,000, 6,000 apps or something like that, with all of the blue chip protocols just using Polygon, choosing Polygon as their first launch place, either from Aave, Curve, Sushi, Uniswap, uh, also Compound, very soon. You can check out their forums, and like, yeah, and hopefully Bancor over the next few weeks. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Mark. If I can pass it over to you, and you can give us a brief intro about yourself and your role over at Bancor, how you got started in crypto.
Yeah, certainly. So I used to be an organic synthetic chemist. I was working for the Australian government as an agent for the Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organization. I was working on things like COVID test strips right at the beginning of when COVID broke out. I was actually supposed to go to Germany to complete a huge leg of work in one of the research institutes near Potsdam, and COVID basically prevented me from going there to do that, and that kind of wiped out a huge leg of research that I was involved in. And so, with very little to do, the city I was living in is Melbourne in Australia, and it broke the world record for the longest contiguous lockdown period. It was almost 24 straight months. And for a very big swathe of that, no one was really allowed to go into work or anything. It was a mandatory stay-home period, curfews, and all the rest. It was a full-on lockdown. And so while I was at home and I was supposed to be writing, research reviews and other things, I just kept getting distracted by all of the news surrounding DeFi, and I watched DeFi summer sort of rear its head up, and I really became super interested in the space. And so over the course of 2020, I was involved with a bunch of different DeFi protocols, and sort of eventually settled down in Bancor. And I met the developers and the project founders, and started working with them on ways that I thought that Bancor could be improved. And then in January of 2021, they offered me a full-time contract, and I've been working with them ever since. Over the time that I've been collaborating with them, I've helped to launch things like the Bancor Vortex, and most recently, I just finished the design of Bancor version 3, and we just announced in our community call moments ago that looks like it's going to be ready for launch in the first week of April. So I'm super excited to see this come to fruition.
That's awesome, and congratulations on that again. So it kind of, yeah, no, definitely. So it sounds like you both, more or less within a few months of each other, got into the space, really. So we're all familiar with what Ethereum was like when it just became completely overwhelmed, I guess I can say, and scaling really started to become a thing, like a necessity in the space.
Yeah.
So correct me if I'm wrong then, because I can be mistaken, but as a user, this is kind of how I remember it. Polygon was one of the first to really make this scaling a possibility. Am I right in saying that?
Not just making a possibility, but also like making it in some sense, yes, but also make it accessible. I think with the business development and other things, I think during start of 2021, uh, the bull cycle and where the market was in that sense, I think we were in that unique position that we had just started to build up the ecosystem, and the market was also just starting to get ready per se, like with the NFT craze, first the DeFi craze from BSC which started, but then more mature retail started understanding, okay, what is DeFi. So that was where Polygon came into the picture. And then over the second half of 2021, I think, was the NFT and gaming craze, and there also Polygon was at the center. So yeah, to some extent you can maybe call it that. Yeah.
And it's grown at such a massive scale. I guess I'm kind of curious about like how it's grown in other ways, because I see that like you originally started with proof of stake and now you're kind of branching into the ZK rollups, and that's kind of what direction I want to head in, like the scaling solutions, the various scaling solutions, not necessarily just the chains, but how the different solutions themselves differ, what the advantages are for like the users.
Oh yeah, sure. So I mean, the POS chain has been there for a while. Like even in 2020, I think early 2020, like somewhere in April was when proof of stake chain 2020 was launched. Mainnet, testnet had been there for some time. So it has been there for a very long amount of time. But as we matured, actually we Matic. So before POS, there was the Matic Plasma chain. I think that is where the whole journey of Matic and the founders and everyone started, because so it was the first true L2 solution back in 2017. After so the founders are also part of the research group, and were contributors to the original plasma research. But over time, we realized that, okay, the as the industry matured, as that plasma will not be the one to scale, because of many issues, same kind of issues which we are to some extent seeing in optimistic rollups right now. But then people started in 2021 when optimistic rollups were getting ready, but ZK rollups also during that time were getting ready because of many improvements, primarily on the Starkware side, where it was not EVM compatible, but then on the other side, which is Hermes and Sync, ZK Sync, which were trying to be EVM compatible. And we our goal very clearly is adoption. And whether it is ZK rollups, whether it is a standalone chain, whether it is a simple POS, we had a very clear vision that, okay, anything that makes Ethereum scale, that has adoption and can bring scale to millions of daily active users. I think right now we have about 500,000 or 400,000 daily active users on the Polygon POS chain, but this is just not done yet. I think we think, with over like with so many product market fit, especially in the gaming phase, and of course DeFi, like good DeFi has clearly has the best product market fit till now. So we clearly feel that, okay, this level of security and level of scalability is just not possible with one single POS chain. So we clearly had this understanding, okay, we have to branch out, and ZK is where the future is, with theoretically infinite scalability. So that is where the different three ZK solutions come into picture.
What do you mean by infinite scalability?
I mean, you can theoretically say that okay, zk rollups can scale 10,000x and more, even 10,000x more than Ethereum.
Yeah, got it. So it's more. So it's like, it can scale to unreasonably high
Yes, yes.
workloads. Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So for the users, like for the stability of the chain, that's fantastic. For the users, you said that it's more secure than a POS.
Yeah. zk rollups, yes, of course.
So how does it actually affect the users then? Like hypothetically speaking.
Oh, it's mostly about like you share the same level of security that the Ethereum main chain has. So users, like, it won't affect. It's not about uh, it's like using a different level of wallet for your goods, or having a different set of security system for your house or stuff like that. Like it's security. Like it's you just have to understand that okay, it's a different level of like if you want to have a large amount of value, so you would ideally like to tend towards anything that shares the same level of security as Ethereum.
Okay, I understand that. So then I have a question for both of you, because as I'm researching this, I'm becoming more and more interested in it, and I have all of these questions. So I guess my first one is, as a like part of the BNT, like the Bancor community, right? Mark was just saying that Bancor 3 is going to be launching, and at some point after, the DAO is going to be proposing and voting on where to deploy, Polygon being an option at that point, a possibility. Would Bancor then deploy on the Polygon POS chain, or would they deploy on Hermes? Does it?
Is that a question for me?
It is.
Okay. Yeah.
Or
So
for Mark.
uh, you mean I can take a jab. So right now, the Polygon POS is what has the most traction, and which has been running absolutely fine for the past 2 years or something like that now, and which has been first chosen by was the first chain to be chosen by the Ethereum blue chips like Aave, Curve, Balancer, Stone Compound, Uniswap V3, and like so many other OpenSea, of course, OpenSea, Rarible, and all these things. So ideally, I would say to launch on the POS to get traction, to understand how Bancor V3 works, and with the amount of retail with the amount of retail that has that traction has already been shown on the POS, and hopefully, I mean, please don't quote me on this or anything, but we are in track to have a ZK rollup in the next testnet on Z in around 3 months, 3 to 4 months. So definitely you can, and this is ZK EVM, and not any other language. So you can just copy paste the code from Solidity on POS to Solidity on ZK EVM, which is Hermes.
Okay, so initial launch over onto the POS chain, and then possibly to Hermes after.
Yes.
So I just want to get some clarity here. The zero knowledge rollups that you're talking about, is this a zero knowledge rollup of the proof of stake chain, or are you talking about a
No,
zero
no,
knowledge
Ethereum.
rollup of Ethereum? Oh, that's
Ethereum.
interesting. So
Of
Polygon
course,
becomes
Ethereum.
simultaneously its own proof of stake chain and a zero knowledge rollup.
Of Ethereum.
Got you. I didn't actually. I wasn't aware of that. I should have.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No,
I've been so heads down in other stuff that I haven't been paying attention to what's been
no,
going
for
on.
sure. So, like, the Hermes team has been. I don't know if the people know, but the Hermes team, who Jordi Bellina, who leads the Hermes project. He was one of the two people who actually pulled Ethereum out of the DAO hack in 2016. So he was one of the two people who helped save ETH and I mean the token, the network, and everything
Yeah, I
after
remember.
the DAO hack in 2016. So he's like a pretty pretty huge legend in this space. So it will be, of course, like 100% Ethereum L2 compatible, EVM compatible L2. Yes.
Yeah, that's super exciting. So yeah, Jen, I think just to follow up on your question there, that look, when the Bancor DAO decides which chains that it wants to deploy on and when, the core contributors will do everything that we can to support whatever decision that they make. And so I think that if it's convenient to go on the proof of stake layer, which it sounds like this is what's available right now while they sort out their ZK solution, then so be it. But then after that, it sounds like it's the same deployment, right? Like, or is the ZK rollup like a separate deployment, Hamzah?
What do you mean by a separate deployment? Like you'd have to.
Okay, yeah. Let's say that there are protocols already deployed on Polygon. When the zero knowledge is available, would the developers for those projects be porting the existing stuff?
Yeah. You'll be porting it. You'll be porting it. Yes.
Got it. And are you expecting both of these solutions to operate in parallel forever, or is the zero knowledge rollup like the main end goal for Polygon?
For a distant for at least near future couple of years, both would be running at least on the side. That is for sure.
Got it.
So I noticed that there are a few, and thank you for clarifying that, by the way, you guys. There are a few different ZK rollups that Polygon has in the works. Are those all user-based? Are some of them focused on developers or enterprise? When I go and look at the Polygon site and I look at scaling solutions, I see 8 options, like 8 different ways that you guys are scaling Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
How do they each differ? Like I looked at a couple, it looks like one of them is more for developers. One of them is for enterprise. But how does Hermes differ from, let's say, what is this one? Maiden. Is it Maiden?
Yeah. So it's a good question. So there are 4 solutions. One is of course Hermes, Maiden, Zero, and so Polygon Hermes, Polygon Maiden, Polygon Zero, and Polygon Nightfall. So Polygon Hermes is the one which we are expecting to launch in the next 3 to 4 months, and it will be a ZK EVM, first decentralized ZK solution. So if you look at the current implementations in the market, whether it is Starknet, or what do you call ZK Sync, though both of them are centralized, so there is a single sequencer of chain, whereas Hermes is designed in a way to have it was initially designed in a way to have Hermes token, Hermes token to be used to decentralize the sequencer, just like how POS validators or POW validators are there to decentralize it. So Hermes will be the first decentralized ZK EVM solution in the market. So it will be just like any chain basically, like whereas Maiden is a dedicated VM, a virtual machine, which can be plugged into any other POS chain or any other ZK implementation. So it is a separate and is built by the people by the lead developer of the Facebook Winterfell project. It was one of the very famous projects that Facebook had open sourced in the cryptography space. And third is Polygon Zero, which was previously known as Mir, which the team has. I'm personally very excited about Zero, because the Zero team has invented and created Plonky 2, which is the lightest, sorry, the fastest ZK proof in 0.2 seconds on a MacBook Air. So you can create, you can generate uh, a proof, a ZK proof, in 0.2 seconds on a MacBook Air, which is just not possible before. I think last I think was by Starkware in like 4 or 5 seconds or something like that, if I correctly remember. And so this can be plugged into any ZK EVM or any VM that people are using, and they are mostly interested in stateless clients. So imagine in the next couple of years, you can have your mobile phone, cell phone, as a light client of Ethereum, which communicates to Ethereum main chain via ZK proofs by Zero. Because since it is so lightweight, and of course with more scalability coming, you can create proofs on your phone and communicate to the main chain, whereas you just don't have to download the whole chain on your device, which is phone in this case. And the fourth solution is Polygon Nightfall, which we are building in conjunction to EY, Ernst and Young, which is another, like, and the project is being led by Paul Prudy, who is one of the leading technologists and influential people in the enterprise space. So it is a privacy focused zero knowledge solution for enterprises, and we actually have a bunch of test cases and solutions being. I think the testnet is going live later this month or earlier next month, something like that, very soon. So yeah, those four solutions are what we have in works.
Okay, so as a user, then I have a question. So Bancor, if we were to, right, I'm hypothetically speaking again, go onto the POS sidechain. I just keep using this as an example because it's the easiest example to use as a DeFi user. And then it would go over to Polygon or Mez. In the future, would Maiden, Zero, and Nightfall be an option? And are they all as secure? Like you said that Polygon or Mez is secure and decentralized, and are the others also? Because they obviously differ as far as what kind of rollups they are, like what kind of ZK rollups. And I
Yeah,
think
but all of them will be true Ethereum layer 2, so same level of security as Ethereum.
okay, and as decentralized.
So decentralized, not yet, not yet. Zero is focused right now on scalability, which means they are trying to reduce the 0.2 second time as well. So not yet, but Hermes is the decentralized, is the solution for that. That's why Hermes is the first one which will be launching.
I understand. So Mark, if I can ask your opinion then, as you know, with your position in Bancor, or aside from Bancor, just with your knowledge, what would you prefer out of all of those if you were a user? Like I'm trying to look, and does that make sense, what I'm trying to ask here?
Yeah, I think so. I think, yeah, the probably the most important thing to consider is always sort of the security of the deployment, right? As a developer, that's the thing that's always that's on my mind, right? Like I would hate to to deploy Bancor somewhere and then have it be interrupted or something by by the chain not performing well, or by some hacker exploiting a bridge or whatever. But secondary to that, and I think the most important part from the user base is whether or not there is stuff to do there, right? And so I think that this is kind of what Hamzah is referring to, is that with the proof of stake chain, because there's so much stuff there already, it's got the most traction. It's got the biggest variety of different projects to use. That it's got the most tokens. I think that it makes sense that if we, if the security is possible, it doesn't have to be perfect. Obviously, the zero knowledge rollups sound like they're the ideal case, but until those have sufficient traction, it probably makes sense to be where the action is.
Did I misunderstand earlier then when I thought that, eventually they'll be working in parallel though?
Yeah, but they're still different deployments, right? So okay. I think that, so like they will be working side by side the same way that Polygon and Ethereum are already working side by side, the same way that Avalanche and Phantom are working side by side. I think that there's often this, it's probably one of the oldest misconceptions about layer 2. And for community members that have been around, since this time last year, I remember there was this huge excitement for things like Optimism and Arbitrum coming online, because a lot of the community, I think, was convinced that just the existence of these rollups would make like Ethereum different, right? That they wouldn't have to go onto these other chains, that just, the existence of them was going to make, Ethereum faster and cheaper to use. And in a way, that was kind of how they were marketed. Rather than say that they would share the burden of the load of Ethereum by dragging projects onto them, which would make Ethereum more lightweight, they would just say instead that Ethereum will be faster because of the work that we're doing. And I don't mean that was disingenuous, by the way. I just think that it was a cleaner message, and I understand why they went that way. But it is important to realize that these are all different things. Yuri has, who was the chief technical officer of Bancor, has always pointed out that the best way to think of all of these scaling solutions is just different chains, right? From a development standpoint and from a community standpoint and from a user standpoint, it really is the same as just being on kind of another chain. But the fact that Polygon is supporting all of these different, methods is just a way to say that they're kind of they're paying attention to future-proofing their chain, and that I think that being able to support both of these things, right, not just sort of a layer 1 or a side chain, if we want to use that nomenclature, but also a full roll up solution on Ethereum within the same project, I think is phenomenal. But they are still different chains. I think that's always the best way to think about it.
Yeah, I think that's the best way. I would I could not put that. I think thank you for putting that in those words. But just one thing which I want to make very, very, very clear is, of course, like the fact that by launching these solutions, we are more future proof, and we will always be Ethereum aligned. And there is even more truth to that. When I also wanted to explain, maybe not a lot of people still don't know this, that the Polygon POS chain is not technically even a side chain. So it is somewhere between a side chain and a layer 2, because all of the staking of Matic is on Ethereum and not on our chain. So
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. So a lot of people still don't know this, that all of the staking, I think 3 billion, 4 billion, something like that, 3.5 billion Matic, which is staked, is on Ethereum chain and not on the Polygon POS chain. So everything, the transactions and everything that happen on Polygon POS chain are then bundled up and committed to the Ethereum chain. The root of the tree of the tree is then put on Ethereum, so anyone can recreate the tree and verify, okay, like these many transactions have happened on the POS chain, which no other chain which are all layer 1, of course they don't do that, because that's not, they are, so to say, Ethereum killer solutions. Like that's a wrong, I mean, it's not wrong, but it's like it's it's just a term which has been floating around, like avalanche of phantom or whatever. Whereas Polygon POS is very clear that we want to scale Ethereum by taking the load off. I think which Mark initially mentioned. But even technically speaking, the Polygon POS chain, all of the staking, checkpointing, all of those things happen on Ethereum. You can check it yourself. 100 validators, all of those things are on the Ethereum main chain, wallet.polygon.technology. You can go and even check it out.
Yeah, thank you for raising that. I'm realizing now I need to look more into Polygon. I kind of just assumed it was a side chain and that the proof of stake was happening on its own infrastructure. I didn't realize it was happening on Ethereum. That's an important difference. Thank you.
I think that's what initially caught my attention was when I looked at Polygon, like I'm just thinking of it as a proof of stake side chain. And Mark, you had even said, and don't quote me, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you considered it more of a layer 2 than you ever really did a side chain.
I can say, I've always said that I consider Polygon a layer 1. Exactly. Yeah, but I understand that it's kind of a hybrid now. In fact, that actually goes a long way to addressing some of the confusion that I've had over the last year or so.
So, Hamzah, then how would you say that Polygon compares to other solutions? Like Mark had mentioned this big hype around ZK rollups with Arbitrum and Optimism last year. And I mean, as far as your progress over the last year since all of that hype, then I mean, it's pretty competitive with all of what you're building, I would say. No?
Yeah, for sure. We were no, with no discredit or any shade or whatever to any of the teams, because building infra is damn hard. You can ask any of the teams, whether layer 1, layer 2, layer 1.5, whatever it is. It's building infra is the hardest thing in the space, and kudos to all the teams, whether Optimism, Arbitrum, ZK, Avalanche, whoever it is. It is the hardest thing to do, but we have been in the space probably for the oldest, for the most number of years. Yeah, actually, we are the now I'm thinking about it. We are the Polygon. Matic has been since 2017. So we have been in the space for the most number of years, and we have over time realized that, okay, like any solution which is based on similar principles like Plasma, which is right now optimistic rollups, will just not scale. Will just not scale. It's not, and I'm not answering. I'm not saying that in the absolute meaning of it. I'm talking in terms of relative, because in relative way, in a way that, okay, because ZK is around the corner, things are actually going to scale with ZK once things come out. Yes, it will take time, but optimistic rollups is, which we realized over last year, is that with the 7-day withdrawals and so many other things, with the fraud proofs, it's just not. You have a 7-day withdrawal period for the main chain, and there's just a little a bad UX with that. Whereas with ZK is like you can just move off the main chain. Move off the ZK chain to the Ethereum with a ZK proof, with a with a proof that that just validates, okay, you have been there for a while. So we clearly believe that, okay, ZK is the future, and that's why we have invested over $1 billion over the last year and committed more for the future. So we clearly believe that ZK is the way forward, and we are fully committed to Ethereum. Like we believe that Ethereum is the one chain philosophically and technically to bring to because still today all of the innovation happens on Ethereum, whether it is the tokenomics, whether it is the NFT, whether it is enterprise, whether it is the whale culture, or whatever it is. It starts on Ethereum, and then trickles down to other copycat people copy that. But we are fully 100% committed to the Ethereum ecosystem.
Just to clarify, I'm hearing you saying nothing against optimism and arbitrum, and I hope that I didn't. I want to clarify what I had said. I hope that it didn't seem like I was saying anything negative towards them either. I think it was just there is so much more of a level playing field than I had realized in terms of the ZK rollups being such an important factor.
I think we should point out as well that with the the ZK rollups are, you know, they have huge advantages, I think, for scalability. But you know, things like optimism and other optimistic rollups, I think that they will still always have their place. There is, you know, from a developer standpoint, I've spoken with a bunch of different projects that prefer optimism right now to things like you know, Arbitrum and even Starknet, just because of the ease on which you can plot projects there. And so it's likely that there's still going to be, like, you know, I don't believe it's a you know, a winner takes all type of game. I do think that there are going to be you know, specific protocols that may wish to continue on optimistic rollups even after zero knowledge you know, scales up. But we'll wait and see. I think certainly in the interim, though, you know, there's a very good case to be made for certain projects deciding to go on optimistic rollups. And you know, we shouldn't be too quick, I think, to, you know, to call the match over just yet. But yeah, I do agree that the zero knowledge stuff has been widely publicized by some of the biggest experts in the space, Polygon included, right? I think Polygon has been one of the greatest Cinderella stories in cryptocurrency in recent times. You know, they have been around talking about Ethereum scaling for years, and you know, kind of you know, pulled themselves out of that you know, out of the bear market and into the limelight in a very profound way. And you know, if these guys are saying that the zero knowledge rollups are the way of the future, then I have a propensity to believe them. But that doesn't mean that the future is going to happen immediately. And I think that optimistic rollups are likely to serve a really important purpose while we're waiting for some of that zero knowledge technology to take root. And because of that, it's possible that they're going to linger on perhaps forever as well.
I have one more question, since we're talking about, you know, the rewards outweighing the risks when going multi-chain and DeFi. I think as a user, one of my main concerns is bridging. You know, is the bridge that I'm using secure? What have you experienced, Hamzah, being over at Polygon with the bridging, and what's your, I'm just curious what your personal take is on where that stands at the moment.
Yeah, that's the biggest that's a very good question, I think, for you in terms of user and UX. I mean, the Polygon POS bridge is, I remember in the last, I think by last month, I remember it was the third or fourth, I'm not 100% sure, but third or fourth most used Ethereum app, so by number of users. And by Ethereum app, I think the first one was OpenSea, then Uniswap V2, and I think then was the Polygon POS bridge. And thankfully, touch wood, like no one has, not a single user has lost any funds on the Polygon POS bridge over the past year or 2 years or whatever. Yes, sometimes I'll be very honest, sometimes it takes time, because you also have to understand it is a fairly decentralized, and how the bridge works is it has to take consensus of all the of 2 by 3rd of the 100 validators that lie on Ethereum. So it takes a proof of on the Ethereum and then mints everything on the Polygon POS chain. So it takes and the time, so the time that Sometimes it takes a longer period of time, is also due to Ethereum congestion at times, and the 2x3 consensus sometimes takes time. And thereby sometime I mean it takes about, I don't know. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes. Sometimes it takes 15. I have the maximum I have seen myself, and I keep bridging here and there. It took me, like, I think max was 1 hour, personally for me. But yes, no issues have happened. But then you also can use more centralized bridges or relayers like Hop or Connect Seller. So many other AnySwap, so many other solutions are there. But for the Polygon, POS bridge is secured by the 100 validators that lie on Ethereum, which have, like I just said, $3-4 billion of worth. Yeah, and has been the most battle tested bridge across anything that lies today in the whole ecosystem.
Mark, do you see like centralized relayers? Does that raise any like red flags, or is that any risk to users using something like that?
It is.
I mean, I want to be completely transparent. We're talking about reward, outweighing the risk. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's not as bad. Like, the as was just stated, the longer something's up and running without incident, the more it should gain your confidence. And the Polygon was really the first sidechain or hybrid layer 2, if we want to call it that, up and running compared to anyone, right? I from the people that I spent a lot of time speaking with within our own community, I would say that they were getting on and off that bridge all the time, and it was because it was because of the amount of user traction that it garnered. The fact that it hasn't been subject to anything of the fact that no user has lost a single cent of their funds during that whole period, it does speak to its strength. And a lot of the time, it's kind of this vague process of just waiting to see how something behaves out in the wild, and waiting long enough without experiencing any problems before we start trusting something. And I am super paranoid about bridges generally. But yeah, the fact that the Polygon bridges have been so well behaved for so long, it should deserve a vote of confidence from us. I do think that the proof of work, decentralized bridges are preferable to any of the private ones. But users will make their own choices. But yeah, it is risky. I think that waiting up to an hour doesn't sound like such a bad concession for the additional peace of mind that you get there. But I understand if users are in a rush to do something, that they might decide one of the private relays is what they want to do. But yeah, I mean, it's still new technology. Let's just keep an eye on it and proceed with caution. But yeah, there's every reason to be confident in the decentralized bridges that Polygon's got up and running. I think that that should go without saying at this stage.
Awesome. Thank you. I have one more question speaking about the bridges, and then one of our listeners has been so patient that I'd like to give him a chance to ask you guys his question also. But as more and more users bridge over to Polygon, is the bridge able to scale also?
I mean, we have teams. We have scaled up the tech team. I remember when I joined, there were like 30 people or something, and now we have about 70-80 people just on the no, not just the bridge, but like core technical. I mean, now we are a 300 member, 400 something like that, 350 member team. So we definitely have scaled a lot of the technical talent as well as the security talent. And Mudit has been working with us for a time, and now he has joined full time as the Chief Information Security Officer. Then we have very close relationships with folks at Immunify and all those big security firms. So I mean, this definitely is a big technical task, maintenance while being in prod and live. So hopefully, yes, we have definitely beefed up a lot of the technical talent it takes to scale things up. So I'm pretty sure like we are in a good place.
I understand. I just wasn't sure from a technical perspective if that was possible, but it sounds like although it would be difficult, it would be possible.
Yeah, we have scaled up a lot in terms of the talent and everything. So yeah.
Awesome. Okay, let me, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to give Nishant the floor. Like I said, he's been so patient, had his hand up pretty much our entire call here. Nishant, are you there?
Fell asleep while waiting.
I hope he didn't fall asleep. Okay, well, while we wait for him, do either of you have anything to add to it? I mean,
Yeah, just quick. Yeah, so I just quickly that we now that we are approaching the Bancor version 3 launch on Ethereum, it is a really good time. Like I do think that this call was well timed. Because we do need to start discussing in and amongst ourselves which chains we want to prioritize, and yeah, I think that Polygon from the start has been a really compelling candidate. It's been something the community's been talking about since Polygon first got started. And so, yeah, I really hope that people have been paying attention, especially to things like, us hearing that the Polygon project is 100% committed to Ethereum, and it is, it thinks that Ethereum is the only way the blockchain space, I think, is going to progress. I can't remember exactly how he phrased it, but essentially that the Ethereum killer narrative is not compelling, and that the security of the Ethereum chain is paramount, and that anything that can be done to harness Ethereum's decentralization and security is valuable, and it's so relieving to hear someone talk about the security advantages of Ethereum for once, because I'm sometimes I feel like I'm all alone where people don't seem to care about that anymore. So it's an important note, and that Polygon has been around since the beginning, one of the oldest builders in scaling solutions, and I think that all of this is are important accolades, and we shouldn't take them lightly. I think that it's a super compelling chain to launch on, and if that's what the community wants to do, I'd be happy to oblige.
Thank you, Mark. I'm going to give Nishant. Are you there? Are you working here?
We've also got Glenn and
yeah, I wanted to give him one more chance here. Glenn, you've got your hand up, and then YieldSimp, we're gonna hand it over to you.
Sure. Thanks for taking my question. I guess I had a question for Hamzah. Essentially, we've been talking about security of Polygon. I know that last year, I want to say around October, there was a bug in your bridge. I think it was a double spend bug. And at that point in time, roughly, I think it was like $800 million or so dollars worth of funds could have been essentially, I guess, stolen. I know the bounty at that point in time that you guys paid was roughly $2 million. And then following that bug, there was another critical one in December. I think this one was a lot harsher than that one, or a lot more impactful, in the sense that all of the Matic tokens in the blockchain themselves could have been, I guess, essentially rugged. I guess from my stance, as someone that's looking at this from the outside, right? Like how do you, I guess, go about someone that has potentially like lost confidence in your blockchain, ensuring that, you know, I sort of like regain some of this like confidence that I've lost? Because, you know, like I haven't seen like these many like security issues with some of the other blockchains out there. So I'm wondering, like, you know, have you guys changed like some processes internally? Like, what is Polygon doing differently?
Because no one has the traction. I mean, this might sound very, very obnoxious or whatever, but like no one has seen the amount of traction in such short span that the Polygon POS has, and you can go and look at any of the numbers. But that, having said that, is a as an obnoxious statement. But on a serious note, we have seriously beefed up the technical and security prowess in the space. I mean, just today, like I said, Mudit Gupta, who is one of the leading security experts in the space, has joined the Polygon team as the Chief Information Security Officer, ex CTO, like of many top projects in the space, and now part of the part of the ecosystem. And like we have some really solid talent now from top teams in the space, whether it is Dapper Labs, Chainalysis, I mean, you name it, have joined it. Ethereum Foundation have joined it. Coming back to the point which you raised about the bugs, yes, there were a few bugs in the during that time, but and that's why bounties are for, like, that's why you pay the security firms and like all these people, white hat teams, to help you break things and exploit things, because and that's part of any any well any software that has been running in this space, like not even blockchain or not blockchain. I mean, you can go and read maybe read the history of even Microsoft or Apple or whatever, or Google. I mean, there have been multiple cases where bounty firms have found bugs in projects have been which have been running for years. And for years, I mean, like, what, decades. So I mean, yes, we have but like I said, we have seriously beefed up the security and technical prowess of the teams to minimize these things more in the future.
I see. Got it. Thanks for answering my question. I'm seriously, like, I will, you know, I have some, I have used Polygon before, you know, I'm still using it now. I interact with a few protocols here daily. And you know, hoping that you guys can potentially deploy your other scaling solutions. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys have in store.
Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. YieldSimp, are you available here?
Yep, ready here.
Perfect.
Appreciate you, Mark and Hamzah, taking the time today. So my question is more for Hamzah. I guess, where do you think we are currently in the tech evolution cycle for ZK rollups broadly? Is it the first inning? Are we 50% there? I feel like it's generally consensus in the ETH community that ZK rollups are the future, but similarly, it feels like it's consensus that we're early in the technology relative to alternatives like optimistic rollups.
No, definitely we are early. I mean, I would be lying if I said we are there. We are definitely early in that stage, but not that early. I think there have been signs in the Starknet, in the ZK sync as well. But once I have seen tests of Hermes, and the team is and because we have like probably like 30-40% of the brain power of all ZK community, the ZK tech talent in the Polygon side. Like, there have been significant progresses made, and I mean, I can tell, like, a couple of big payment companies are actually testing it for payments, cross-chain payments, cross-country payments right now. And Hermes was actually built for that payment solutions. But those tests are happening. So I am pretty confident. We yes, we are early, but not that early as people think.
Got it. And one follow up there, and you'll probably hate this question, but what do you think are the core differentiators between you and some of the other ZK rollups out there? Starkware comes to mind.
Yeah, for sure. So firstly the EVM compatibility. So Hermes is 100% EVM compatible. So it is, you just copy paste your Solidity code, and not a language like Cairo or something, which I think Starkware has right now. Whereas on the whereas Hermes is the only decentralized, ground up decentralized solution, and also like I don't know if I mentioned this before, but EVM was not built for ZK when EVM was first built. So all of the solutions are trying to replicate EVM in a ZK environment, whereas whereas Hermes is building an entirely new EVM for ZK. So opcode by opcode. So EVM has a bunch of opcodes, and we are replicating all those opcodes functionalities essentially into a ZK environment. So because that is the ground up different implementation completely, and ZK EVM is what needs to scale, because again we'll find a roadblock there.
Got it. And last quick follow up question: what do you think is the biggest challenge to really scaling Hermes and making it all that it can be?
I mean, testing testing a lot of things, I think. Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Jacob, if you're there, I'd like to pass it over to you.
Hey guys, I jumped in late. I just wanted to say hi. I hope you, Mark, are enjoying the conference. What's going on, Jen? I was just stopping in to listen, but I'm gonna jump back out to the crowd. Hope you guys have a great rest of the space, though.
Thanks for jumping in, man.
Of course.
Thank you so much. I hope that
Speak to
you
you guys.
enjoyed the rest of the space. Thanks for jumping up. Okay, Nishant, you have your hand up, so I feel like you're there, and we should get you this time. There you are.
Hello. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. My question's for Hamzah. I just wanted to ask, so from what I understood, you answering other people's questions, so the dApps do not need to be rewritten to be ZK EVM compatible for Hermes. Is that correct?
Yes.
And also, like with ZK Sync, and from what I understand, the main differentiator between ZK Sync and your ZK rollup solution is that the shared security on ZK Sync will be on Ethereum, and yours will be on a hybrid model of your chain.
No. It will be on Ethereum.
But I mean, it's still like a. I mean, I from what I understood, that it's a hybrid model of a layer 2 chain.
No. The Hermes solution will be a 100% layer 2, no hybrid or anything.
Oh, okay. So it's like a direct competitor of ZK Sync,
Yes.
basically.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thanks.
Great. Well, it doesn't look like we have any more questions. I just want to take a minute and thank our speakers, Mark and Hamzah, and our audience for tuning in and for jumping up and asking your questions as well. I definitely learned a lot. I got a lot of clarity on Polygon and your scaling solutions and going multi-chain. So I want to thank you guys once again and wish you all a great night.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you so much, Jen, and thank you so much, Hamzah, for I know what it's like to take questions about bugs and things, and you were such a good sport, and you handled it really well, and yeah. So thank you so much for taking that on the chin and providing such a high quality response. I really appreciate you taking those questions seriously and addressing those concerns. So thank you so much. It means a lot.
Thank you, guys. Thank you to the
Thank you
Bancor
all.
community.
Yes, thank you. You guys have a great night. Appreciate it.